And the next thing which we are going to cover is temporary table.
Yeah.
So before going to understand the temporary table, right? What are the things temporary according to you? I mean, inside the database, I mean, what are the things temporary? There will be some temporary task which we are performing, right? Like we are creating some of the tables, and once our job is done, we are going to delete it, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right. And there will be some import and export we are doing, and to enhance that one, what we are doing is like we are just creating some tables, we are exporting it using that, and after exporting we are removing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, if you noticed it, every time we are creating and we are dropping it.
Yes.
So to I mean, these kind of things are temporary, right, in our database.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So to give the better flexibility, our database comes with a concept of temporary table. Okay.
Yeah.
Where if you do any kind of operation, it will be a temporary. Okay. Once
Yeah.
your session will be logged out, it will automatically drop your table. Right.
Or once it comes out the stored procedure, it will
Yes.
it,
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
have to drop the table. It will automatically
No.
delete.
It will automatically delete it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So temporary table is temporary in nature. Once your task will be done, your session will be out, it will automatically remove that table. That's it. As simple
Hmm.
as that.
Hmm.
Now there are two different types of table, okay, in temporary. One is normal temporary table and another one is global temporary table. Okay.
Hmm.
Now definitely you can ask what is the difference between the
Yeah.
normal and the global. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely you have noticed in a database, so many users are using the same database, right?
Yes.
And and definitely, I mean, once you write your application for the same application, the same table being used and referred in so many different, I mean, things, right?
Hmm.
So if any table globally we need to access it, right? Then we need to use global temporary table. Okay. And if any table is only accessed by the single user or for a single session, we will use it as a normal temporary table.
So
Okay.
so so when you're writing a script for yourself,
Ye-
like how can I say, so when lots of people need to use this temporary table, then we
yes.
use a global temporary table.
Yes.
But why would more than one user want to use a global temporary table? Because temporary tables are really temporary.
Yes, very good question. So, I mean, definitely, I mean, when I'll explain you the normal and temporary table after creating it,
Hmm.
definitely it will be more clear to you that
Sure.
yes, why do we need really the global temporary table? Okay.
Hmm.
So, before going to start it, like before going to create the temporary table, I mean, the base concept is clear to you that yes, it is temporary in the nature, right?
Hmm.
And whenever we are creating any temporary table, it creates inside of the temporary database, right?
Okay, so a temporary table, you put hash in front.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And there is a logic behind hash and double hash, right? Why
Hmm.
do we need hash and why do we need double hash? Definitely I'll cover that one too. Okay.
Hmm.
So inside this you have noticed like temp db, right?
Yeah.
Whenever we are creating any database or anything, it comes automatically some system related database, right? So inside that one temp table, temp db is there. So
Hmm.
if I create this table, right, I created it inside master, right?
Hmm.
But if you go to tables,
You won't be there.
it won't be there, right? Can you see any table with students?
Oh, there is table called students, but not hash students.
Not has student, right?
Yeah.
The content will be different. Let me query this one. See, we created one temporary table for pivot and unpivot, right? Remember?
Yeah, yeah,
This is referring to that one.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So let me drop this one for your better understanding. Drop table name. So there will be no table, right? With students.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, why it is not getting refreshed?
Oh, you have to refresh it.
Okay. You see, there is no
Small.
temporary table.
Yeah.
Then where it is created, right? I'm referring to master table, master database, but it is not
It,
created inside. So
it's in temp DB.
it is in temp DB exactly. So if I go to the temp DB, if I go to the tables, you will notice one table with student is created.
No, there's temporary tables in there. Is that it? I don't know.
Just a second.
Refresh. Maybe you have to refresh it.
Oh, sorry. You see? Can you notice temporary table inside the temporary?
Yeah.
Right? Now let me create another table, right? Another table. If I
Mm-hmm.
refresh,
Mm-hmm.
you see another table, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, if I create n number of table, it will be n number of times, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely, some as this one is the I mean this mm, as this one is the temporary table, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it is depending on the session,
Mm.
and it is creating inside the temp table. So definitely some other user who is working in this DB, definitely they are going to create the table with the same name. It might be, right?
Yeah,
It's quite possible. Like most of the time we used to execute it like create table test
yeah,
1, test 2, test 3, test 4, and so on, right?
yeah,
So because these names are very handy, so I mean most of the developer used to do this while
yeah,
they are creating any temporary table. So
yeah,
it might be possible that others user are also creating the same table with the same name, right? So that table is also coming under this, right? Temp table with the same name. So in DB we are having one concept like with the same name we cannot create the same
Okay.
object.
Are you saying that if you ran it, it creates student one, and then
Yes.
when I run it, I'm trying to create student one, but I can't because it's already there. Correct?
Yes, ideally it should be, but you when you execute it, you are also able to create it.
No,
No?
but how can you have more than one student?
Yes, that is what that is what I'm going to explain you. In temporary table, when we are creating a table, along with the table name, it is assigning some unique values. Okay.
Yeah,
If you gonna expand this, if you're gonna expand this a bit, did you notice the
yeah,
number?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
For this one, it is E. For this one, it is F.
Okay.
Right?
Are you saying that if you run student two again, it'll,
Yes.
can you do it now?
With this session, I don't think it will create because student 2 is already exist.
Okay.
But if I open a new session and if I fire it, the student 2, it will
Yeah.
create.
It's because when you close this session down,
It will,
student two will disappear.
yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
But what happens? What happens if you're running something? You create student two, right?
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
still in the session,
Hmm.
and then I run it, and it tries to create student two. Will it fail?
No, it will create, but in my session it will refer to this one, this table, But in another, I mean, in another session where you executed student 2, it will assign a new value here,
Okay,
right?
it'll create student 2 again,
E-
but with a new value.
New value again, and
Yeah,
it will
yeah, yeah,
refer to that table,
yeah.
and you can easily access it in your
I understand.
session. Okay.
I understand.
So temporary table is not depending on only on the name. It
Mm.
is making a unique by
Yep.
combining the table name along with the keys,
Yeah, yeah. I
which
understand.
is tagged to this one.
I
So
understand.
this is a very, I mean, a good concept to always remember. Like, yes, in this way it is making it unique so that multiple users can create the same table name,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in that way it is creating unique table. So, I mean, any doubt or confusion so far with the
No,
temporary
no,
table?
no.
Okay, okay. Now coming to the concept, like as I said, what is normal temporary table and what is global temporary table, right? If I go to the another session, okay, as you notice, I created one this table,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and if I execute this query, select star from this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will it give me output? No, right? Because my data is, I mean,
Okay,
my,
if you copy that line and put it in here, will it run? It should run, yeah?
yes, you see, I'm able to get this
Okay.
table
So,
definition.
how long is a session open? Is it until you close this window down?
Yes, yes. It depends
Okay.
on the session, right?
Okay.
Your question is like, if I execute it, will it create? You see, it's
Hmm.
created, but if I refresh, it will assign a
A
new
new one.
new ID, right? You see, previously it was E, now it is with 10,
10.
right?
Yeah.
So when I query this table, when I query this, right, it will refer to this one, not this one, because this
Okay.
one created by the another session and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one created by this session
Yes,
only.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. So I mean, the temporary table concept, the session concept is clear to you.
yes.
Okay, cool. So in the same way, if I query the student 2, it won't access because, yes, I mean, this is session dependent and only
Hmm.
within that session only we can access it.
Yes.
Now the concept of global temporary table. If you
Yep.
noticed, for a temporary table, we
One.
created it using a single hash, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for a global temporary table, we will use it using multiple hash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if I create this one, right?
Hmm.
If I refresh, you see,
Hmm.
referring as double hash.
Hmm.
But here it is not assigning any values.
Hmm.
It
And that
means,
can that can be accessed by any session.
yes, that is what I'm going to explain you. Like if I copy it, then simply if I put it here and if I execute this query, you see, I'm able to access it, right? Student 3 in this session.
Hmm.
Now, coming to the question, like whether we are going to create the student 3 in this session also or not, right? Definitely you have the question in your mind, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So if I execute this query,
No, it won't work.
it won't work, right?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah.
Why?
Because it's global.
Because
It
it
doesn't
is
have
all,
any ID next to
yes,
it.
yes, it is already existing, right? It
Hmm.
is already existing into the schema,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, any doubt or confusion so
No,
far?
no, no,
No,
no. All
it's
good.
clear, all good. Okay, cool. So, I mean, the way this one is one way to create the temporary table, right? And in SQL Server, we have the provision to create a table from another table, right?
Hmm.
And the syntax for that one is select your blah 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 columns into your temporary table from where you are picking all those data, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
remember always, in case of temporary table, the same syntax we're going to use, which is hash student or
Hmm.
double hash student.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you want to use normal temporary table, you will use single hash.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to use global
Do
temporary table,
double.
you can use double hash. Clear?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
So these are basically the two steps using which you can create the temporary table in Oracle Server.
Yeah.
Okay. Now coming to the point, like check the blah 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 temp to be temporary. So I have already explained these things, right? So the way it is making unique, I have explained you with
Mm-hmm.
this number. So after creating the temporary table, you can insert the data into the temporary table like a regular table where you are
Mm-hmm.
storing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we have this table as student, right? Select star from blah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have this table. Now, if you want to store any values, like we have some sample data,
Mm-hmm.
we can insert it. Let me copy and let me paste it, right?
Put hash in front.
Yes, hash in front I need to put it. Instead of inserting so many record, let me insert only a single record,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I store, if I execute, see,
Mm-hmm.
one
Mm-hmm.
record inserted. So
Mm-hmm.
there is no such difference in inserting, right?
It's the
Like
same way, kind of. Yeah.
it's the same way,
Yeah.
right?
And
Now,
you can query in the same way as well.
yes, in the same way, like if I query it, this table, you see, we are getting this
And
record.
can you put keys and things like that, primary key and everything, and do joins?
Yeah, yeah, do. See,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
you
kept
did.
a
Yeah,
primary key. So
yeah.
the concept will remain the same. On everything is same. Only difference is like temporary means it will be temporary in nature. Once your session is out, it will
Finish.
be
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
That's
I
it.
understand. I
Okay.
understand.
For a temporary table, it for a normal temporary table, it will assign a unique number,
Yeah,
unique key pair, so
yeah.
that it will makes unique, and so that you can create a different no, I mean the same table in a different session, and you
Yeah.
can access it as because it is unique with the help of key.
Mhm.
For temporary for global temporary table, we need to use double hash,
Mhm.
and it is accessible from all the session. So
Mhm.
we cannot create the same global temporary table in the another session
Sure. Sure.
as because the object is already there. These are the key
Sure.
concept basically.
Sure. Sure.
And then, I mean, coming to the drop table, right? As I said, temporary table automatically removal after closing the session.
That is for the normal one, yeah.
Normal and global for both. Okay. If it is
Gl-
temporary table, it will
Wait,
automatically
wait.
close.
When does global close down? No, wait. When does the global get deleted?
I mean, it depends on the session. If all the
Oh,
session,
so
yes,
global. So, so are you saying that the global and the normal
yes,
both get deleted temporary table at the end of the session?
yes, at the end of the session.
Okay.
Now, just consider a scenario like I created it, someone using it. Will it delete if I log out? Because other one is accessing that table, right? So, I mean, once
Yeah.
the session will be logged out, if I log out, it will keep a log that yes, this table I need to log, and it will block the user not to access it. Those who have already accessed it, they have the access. If any new request will come, it won't allow to access that
Okay.
one.
Are we saying that, so if we're running a stored procedure, yeah,
Yes.
because you're using SQL Server Management Studio, but in real life we'll be using like a stored procedure. Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
right. So what's going to happen is if it's normal or global, the temporary table will be created, and if it's normal, it'll only be accessed by the current session, and if it's global, it'll be accessed by all users. But once that stored procedure finishes, the
Hmm.
temporary table or global temporary table will get removed, and no one
Okay.
can access it after that.
Okay. Okay.
Is that
So
correct?
yes, coming to your question, right? I have created one table. Okay, table one. Okay, and I have one store procedure P1. Okay, so inside P1 we are using table 1. Okay, so throughout the
Hmm.
procedure we are using it.
Is
Even
table one a temporary table or what?
temporary table, we are discussing about
Okay.
temporary table, so I'm referring
Yeah.
temporary table only.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean P1 is accessing this one, right? So ideally we should use temporary table for P1. Now
What is P1, by the way?
P1 is a procedure one, basically.
Okay, store procedure.
Yes, proc one,
Okay.
procedure one.
Okay.
Okay. Now consider, I mean, we have a procedure one, we have a procedure two also, which is the referring to this one, right? Referring to the same table one. Okay.
Okay. When does table one get created? Is it in proc one?
Yes, let's suppose I created temporary table one. I have written one store proc. I called it in the same session. Then I again created a temporary proc two, and again I called it in the same session. So yes, it will work, right? But I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you have the same table and if you are accessing it from the multiple store procedure, right? So definitely different
Mm.
sessions are getting created. So in that scenario, the best practice is to have the global temporary table. Are you getting me? What I'm trying to say?
Can you just explain that again? I'm a little bit confused. Okay, that last two sentences I got confused.
So as simple as that, if a single table is being used by a single store procedure, we can go with the normal temporary table. If a single table can be single table being used by the multiple store proc, we can go with the global temporary table.
No,
Okay.
no. What I'm saying is, okay. Let's say under proc one,
Okay.
okay. Under proc one, table one gets created.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then, okay, table one gets created.
Hmm.
And then in that same session,
Hmm.
okay, okay, okay. If
Go on, go on.
okay, okay, so, okay, because you're doing it in SQL Management Studio, say we're using like C sharp or something, okay?
Yes, yes,
Okay, from C sharp we call proc one, and proc
yes,
one creates table one, okay,
yes,
which is a temporary table, okay,
yes, yes,
and then from C sharp we call proc two.
yes.
So proc two will not be able to access table one because it's a different session now, correct?
Exactly, because whenever we are creating any proc in industry, we maintain a transaction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
However,
hmm,
however,
hmm,
however,
hmm.
if in SQL Server Management Studio you create a window like this,
Yes, yes,
SQL
yes,
Query one,
yes,
you run proc one and then run proc two. Proc
yeah.
two can access table one. Is that right
Yes,
or
yes,
not?
yes, yes. In the same session, it will.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm with you. I'm with you. I
Okay.
understand.
Okay.